Sponsoring your child for Canadian permanent residence. Sponsoring your child for Canadian permanent residence is an important step for families who want to reunite and build a secure future in Canada. This program allows Canadian citizens and permanent residents to bring their dependent children to live, study, and grow with them in a stable environment. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. As a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, you may be eligible to sponsor your dependent children for permanent residence. This video will cover the ins and outs of sponsoring a dependent child, including who is eligible to sponsor and be sponsored, the undertaking commitment, and how to apply. Who is eligible to sponsor? To apply to sponsor your child, you must meet the following eligibility criteria. Be at least 18 years of age. Be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or registered Indian. Live, or plan to live, in Canada once your child becomes a permanent resident. Meet the minimum annual income requirement needed to support yourself, the child being sponsored, and any dependents, if applicable. Only Canadian citizens can sponsor a dependent child while living outside Canada. Permanent residents living abroad cannot. There is no minimum income requirement if your dependent child has no dependent children of their own. If your dependent child has dependent children, you can look up the applicable minimum income requirement by completing the Financial Evaluation Form, IMM 1283. Ineligibility criteria. Even if you meet all of the above requirements, there are certain situations that can make you ineligible to sponsor a dependent, and if applicable, their dependent, including the following. Having already applied to sponsor the same dependent, and that application is still being processed. Being behind on payments for an immigration loan, performance bond, or court-ordered family support payment, such as alimony or child support. Having failed to provide financial support as required under a prior sponsorship undertaking. Having declared bankruptcy, and not yet having been discharged. Receiving social assistance for reasons other than a disability. Having been convicted of a violent criminal offense. Being in jail, prison, or a penitentiary, or having received a removal order requiring you to leave Canada. These restrictions do not apply to residents of Quebec. Who is eligible to be sponsored? To be sponsored, your child must be admissible to Canada and must meet the definition of a dependent. A child is deemed a dependent if they are the biological or adopted child of you or your spouse or partner, spouse, and if they are under the age of 22 and not married or living in a common law relationship. Children over the age of May 22 still qualify as dependents if both the following conditions are met. They are unable to support themselves financially due to a physical or mental condition, and they have been financially dependent on their parents since before turning 22. Age aside, your child must continue to meet all dependency criteria until Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada processes their application. The Undertaking and Sponsorship Agreement. As part of your sponsorship application, you're required to sign an undertaking and sponsorship agreement. When you sign, you agree to provide financial support for your child for a specific period, known as the undertaking period. During this time, you will be required to pay for their basic needs, such as food, clothing, and shelter, and all health needs not covered by public health services, such as dental and eye care. You are also responsible for ensuring your child will not need social assistance from the government. If they do, you must repay the full amount and cannot sponsor anyone else until you have done so. Generally, the sponsorship agreement must be signed by both the sponsor and the sponsored individual. Dependent children under 22, however, are exempt from this requirement. In Canada, the sponsorship undertaking period for dependent children depends on their age on the date they obtain PR status. Table here. If you wish to withdraw your sponsorship application, and thereby the undertaking agreement, you can only do so before your child becomes a permanent resident. There are no exceptions. How to apply? To sponsor your child or the child of your spouse, you will need to complete and submit 2 applications. Sponsorship application, you apply to be recognized as a sponsor. Permanent residence application, the dependent applies to become a permanent resident. The principal applicant, which in this case is the dependent, will submit both applications together online using the permanent residence portal. In the application, you will need to demonstrate that the other parent or legal guardian has granted permission for your child to immigrate to Canada. Further, if the child being sponsored has a child of their own, they must list their child as a dependent in the application, regardless of whether their child is coming to Canada or not. Below are the general steps required to sponsor your child for Canadian PR. Step 1. Obtain the application package, which will include the instruction guide, the necessary forms, and a unique document checklist auto-generated for you by IRCC. Step 2. Gather and upload the documents outlined in your document checklist. If you are unable to submit a particular document, include a detailed explanation as to why not. If the dependent lived outside Canada while they were 18 years of age or older, they will be required to submit a police certificate from every country they lived in for 6 or more consecutive months. A police certificate may be required from the dependent. IRCC requires anyone aged 18 or older who has lived outside Canada for 6 or more consecutive months to submit a police certificate from each country they have resided in since turning 18. Step 3. Complete, sign, and validate the relevant online forms in the PR portal. Step 4. Pay the $255 application fee, which includes the sponsorship fee, $85, the application processing fee, $85, and the biometrics fee, $85, if applicable. The biometrics fee is only applicable to dependents 14 years of age and up. If including a dependent child on an application made by a dependent child, there will be an additional $175 fee. Step 5. Submit the online application by following the submission instructions in your instruction guide. Step 6. Submit any supporting documentation requested by IRCC if prompted to do so. Processing times for dependent child sponsorship applications vary depending on their country of residence. Residents of Quebec. Quebec operates its own immigration system under a special agreement with the federal government, meaning it also has its own set of rules and requirements for sponsoring a dependent. This includes a distinct application process, differing sponsorship undertaking commitments, and province-specific application fees. Residents of Quebec are required to submit a sponsorship application to both IRCC and the Ministère de l'Immigration, de la Francisation et de l'Intégration. The Quebec government will inform IRCC whether you have been approved as a sponsor. As part of the process in Quebec, you must sign a formal undertaking, which has different undertaking lengths, with the provincial government and complete an income assessment through MyFi if your dependent child has their own dependent child. Quebec is not currently accepting undertaking applications for dependent children aged 18 and over until June 25, 2026 due to having reached its cap. All applications sent in before then will be returned without processing and fees will be refunded. Some exceptions apply. Through the Child Sponsorship Program, Canada reinforces its commitment to family unity by ensuring children can live with their parents in a safe and supportive setting. For families, it offers not just immigration benefits but also the chance to create lasting opportunities together. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.